Hello, I'm Charis Antoniades, Associate Editor of Cardiovascular Research. And it's my great pleasure to have today with me Professor Tom Guzik, who is the upcoming Editor-in-Chief of Cardiovascular Research, succeeding Karin Stipito, who has been the Editor-in-Chief for the last few years. So, Tom, welcome.
Thank you very much, and hello.
Yeah, would you like to talk to us, first of all, about yourself? So, who is Tom Guzik, for those who don't know you?
Well, I am a clinician scientist that has always worked in the translational research area, trying to characterize mechanisms of vascular dysfunction and cardiovascular disease in patients using animal models, cell culture as methods and models to address mechanistic questions. But at the moment I am a Regius Professor of Physiology and Cardiovascular Medicine at the University of Glasgow, and I also maintain links to my alma mater, the university in Poland, Jagiellonian University in Krakow, where we collaborate and perform studies in human blood vessels. I had a great opportunity and pleasure to work with several outstanding scientists throughout my career, which I think has shaped the way I look at science and the way I try to ask important questions in biology and cardiovascular medicine. And this includes Professor Keith Channon here in Oxford, who has sort of introduced me to cardiovascular medicine, and my interest stems from my work with him many years ago, where I came to Oxford being particularly interested in clinical immunology and allergy. But my research in Oxford has led to describing the role of NADPH oxidases in human vasculature, which has attracted quite a lot of citations. Then I had a privilege to work with David Harrison at Emory University at that time, and more recently at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, which has shaped my approaches to animal studies and mechanistic advances using molecular biology and immune approaches in understanding hypertension. And from this period, the exciting part was an opportunity to understand and to describe for the first time the role of immune system in the pathogenesis of hypertension, and which now is slowly arriving to a potential translation and attempts to use biological and non-biological immune modulating therapies in cardiovascular disease, and in our case with interest in hypertension.
Okay, and which do you see as the biggest landmarks in your career so far?
Well, I think that's why when you asked me who I was, I think the really important landmark or important thing in everyone's career is to have people that can advise you, that you can consider mentors. And I think that these people help you in making decisions, in deciding about potential of taking risks. And I read somewhere that the greatest hazard in life is not to take risks at all. And I think this is true. So the sort of turning points in everyone's career are associated with risks, and this has two layers. One is obviously deciding to move, and moving to Oxford initially was a very big and difficult decision for a young researcher, but a wonderful opportunity that shaped my future development and my future interest. The same was for deciding to go to the United States, at which stage I had to decide between going to Stanford or going to Atlanta. And obviously everybody could say, well, it's obviously better to go to Stanford. But from the point of view of my research interests, working with David Harrison in Atlanta was a much more obvious choice, maybe slightly more risky, but more obvious, and it led to wonderful development, friendship, and mentorship that I received from him until today. And so these kind of turning points are very important. Similarly, deciding to move to Glasgow and set up my lab there was a difficult decision, but a decision that is very fruitful thanks to the interactions and environment that I can work in at the moment. The second level of sort of turning points in every scientist career is related to decisions related to research, because we make a lot of observations, we have some more interesting and less interesting findings, and we have to decide what we are going to focus on. And I think the big turning points were decisions to focus initially on NADPH oxidases and more recently on the mechanisms of inflammatory dysregulation in hypertension that led to important papers and opportunity to obtain funding from key founders like Wellcome Trust or European Research Council.
Okay, and how did you decide to go for this new appointment as editor-in-chief of Cardiovascular Research? It's a big challenge. I guess it's very exciting, but how did you end
It is a big
challenge
indeed, and you know, I sometimes think that maybe I decided that because I'm a workaholic, but the truth is that I think that I would like to participate actively in development of cardiovascular sciences in life of European Cardiac Society, and role of the editor-in-chief of one of the key journals of the ESC that was brought to such an excellent position and shape by previous editors, including Mike and Pieper and Karen Sipido, is a huge honor and a huge opportunity. Also, being a researcher, I can appreciate the role that journals have in shaping development of science, and having a chance to be part of that is really something that I look forward to, in spite of all the huge workload that will be associated with this, that I appreciate, and I have already experienced working with the current team of Karen.
So, what is it that you are more excited about with the journal?
I think that working with so many excellent scientists as authors, as reviewers, as I mentioned, is a huge honor, and it's a very, very exciting part of this work. Having an opportunity to review and read so much of really high quality and good research is I think, an exciting part of a very hard job of the editor. European Cardiac Society and being part of the family of European Cardiac Society journals gives also a great opportunity to foster interactions with other journals of the family in order to allow growth of all of these journals. Also, being part of the European Cardiac Society, we will have opportunity to work with working groups of the ESC, and that creates a huge amount of very valuable interactions and potential valuable papers and contributions that lead to development of science.
And what's your vision for the journal for the next 5 or 10 years?
As you noticed from your first question, who I am, there are two aspects in my life and my development that I think could reflect on development of cardiovascular research. One is internationalization. I spent a substantial amount of time in different countries and experienced different views and ways of performing research. And one of the aspects would be to try to open even further than cardiovascular research is open now to international submissions, encourage submissions from the United States, from Australia, from Japan, and other regions of the world that contribute to cardiovascular science to the great extent. Of course, a majority of submissions to cardiovascular research come from Europe, because it's a European Society for Cardiology journal, and we would like to maintain that. as one of the tasks is also sort of encouraging more submissions from Germany and the UK, where submissions have recently slightly decreased. So this internationalization is one of the key aspects. We will try to achieve this through cooperating and inviting international editors, both on deputy editor level and associate editor level, and widening participation in editorial board. The second aspect is to strengthen translational research aspect of cardiovascular research while maintaining a very strong base of basic science and mechanistic studies that are published in the journal. We will try to also embark on wider scope of fields that are currently slightly underrepresented in the journals, such as cardio-oncology, neural regulation of cardiovascular function, metabolism, immunometabolism. So trying to sort of widen scope in order to attract more researchers to focus on, but one of the key things will be not to lose our current authors, reviewers, and editors, because I think that this journal is like a family, and this is what I particularly like about cardiovascular research. Not every journal meetings of editorial board and associate editors are in such a family atmosphere, and I think that this is a very big strength that we need to build on.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much, and good luck for your new appointment.
Thank you very much.